Okay, very good morning and very good evening. Parminder here. Welcome to our SAP Functional Module Overview and Business Processes. Clear. Put LC over the chat window if you are able to hear me loud and clear. Quickly. Everyone on the chat, LC, if you are able to hear me loud and clear, if you are able to see my screen. I got a response from Rashmi, Niranjan. Okay, Manoj also. Quick, everyone. Quick response on the chat. So we would be asking a lot of questions in between it to have the interaction, and you need to make sure you keep your finger running on the keyboard. Okay, that will make sure that you are tentative, you are live in the session, and your focus remain on the session. So thank you for everyone for the confirmation that you are able to hear us loud and clear. So let me give you a background what we are doing. So we have started this program almost a month ago, where I was having a request from ABAPers, from the function leads, from the solution architects, from the project managers, people working into the sales, that they need a program where at least they would be having an overview of all the functional modules, right? So that they would be able to handle the positions well. And ABAPers, when they are working with the functional consultant, they would be able to at least understand what is this basic functional module. So that's where from that requirement we started it. We started with covering overview of SAP, different functional modules. How does it get integrated with each other? That's part we have covered. And so far, then we jump into in detail session. In 2-hour session, we have covered sales and distributions, materials management, production planning. Then we have covered finance. And then we have covered the supportive logistics module, one session on quality management, one session on plant maintenance, one session on project system. So different modules we have covered. So far we have touched on the logistics, and we have also touched on the finance side, right? So another module which you're going to touch today, and Mr. Niladri would be helping you to get it done. That is the SAP HR module and SAP Success Factor. And what are the SAP's capabilities for HR, or what are the SAP capabilities under the Success Factor segment? That's what we will be trying to do it today. And I'm not an HR expert. I'm not a Success Factor expert. I have never worked on it. So that's where basically I tried to bring Niladri here, who is basically having a more than 12 years of experience in that area. He's basically from the core HR background, and he has worked into all the major 4 consulting companies, delivering multiple projects in the HR side, and also into the Success Factor also. Both he has done it. And whenever we try to bring an expert, we try to bring an expert not only based on the knowledge. Knowledge definitely he has. We try to bring an expert so that the passion should be there to share the knowledge. Okay, passion should be there to teach the people. That's where Niladri and I belong from the same community. We follow the same guru to develop our SAP business. Niladri is also running his school on SAP HR and Success Factors. He had trained multiple people across the globe from his school on SAP HR and Success Factor. So he would be talking about more about his Success Factor course, about his school, where you can get educated about SAP Success Factor or SAP HR at the last. But we would be starting with the overview of SAP Success Factor, so at least you know that what kind of things you would be getting. And the people who will stay till last, I think Niladri also has an offer that one of the free course he want to share with you. The links will be sharing at the end of the session. So with that brief overview, with that brief introduction, I would like to welcome Mr. Niladri on our platform. Hi, Niladri. Welcome.
Hi, Parmindas. Thank you for inviting me for this community. So you are doing an amazing job, and you are one of my inspirations, I will say, after our guru. So definitely, I will be more than happy to contribute to the community, and whatever my knowledge, I will be trying my best to share. And this is my first time I'm actually connecting a session outside my community. So at the same time, I'm very much anxious, and also at the same time happy to contribute whatever I can. So happy to start with. Yeah.
Sure. So I will stop sharing my screen. I will also stop my video, and I will give a spotlight to you.
Sure. So let me share my screen. So SastraGeek. So if you're able to see my screen, and as well as you're able to hear me, let me know.
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos. Quickly, yes on the chat window. If you are
Say
able
yes
to
in the
see.
chat. Yeah, we want the session to be more interactive. And if at any point of time, if any questions, just otherwise you can also raise your hand if it is possible. Otherwise, we can take the question at the end as well, right? So to start with, how I will structure before I share my this mind map with all of you, I will just give you a quick overview. Already, Parminderji has already explained my introduction. So basically, I worked primarily on for initial 6 years of my career from 2010 to 2016, primarily on SAP HCM side, that is SAP Human Capital Management. And in 2016, I moved to the Success Factor. Okay. So which is the cloud module of SAP HR, I will say. So to start with, what is, before we go for the technical side of it, I will just first talk about the business side of it. Every one of us already have some level of experience, right? So HR is not something new for us. So we, as usual, we join any organization, we start our day one, then we start continuing our work there for a couple of years. Again, if required, then we move on to another organization. So that's a typical cycle. Like we call it a employee life cycle, right? So before we go to the success factor part of it, I just wanted to cover something little bit with your permission, that what are the different stages of employee life cycle, right? So if you're excited, just type ELC, employee life cycle. In the chat, ELC. Okay, Rashmi, I see that. Very quick. Okay, great. So what is the employee life cycle? Just like any, if you talk about a product, we have a product life cycle, right? So similarly, for an employee life cycle, we have different 7 stages of a typical employee life cycle. So to start with, first element is the attraction. So whenever I say attraction, unless and until you're attracted for it, you are attracted for something, you will not be going to achieve it, right? So for that reason, I will be explaining it through a story rather explaining a theory. Let's say we are having an employee. So the hypothetical employee name is Mr. Sarma, and who is from Indore. Anyone from Indore? I have not visited, but it is one of in my wish list. Indore in India. Okay. No worries. Then, so let's say Mr. Sarma, who is from Indore, and while accessing the mobile and also he got an opportunity in LinkedIn that there is a major opening for an Indian retail major company, and he wants to apply for that job. All right. So in this case, what happened? So the job came to the employee or the candidate, I will say, Mr. Sarma, who is going to apply for that job, and the attraction element is that advertisement. Just remember the term advertisement. The job can come in any format. It can be through any kind of a job board. It can be both. You are applying, or it is coming through some referral, or it can be that if you remember your campus days, through your campus placement, you got placed in a particular so-and-so company, right? So in that case, that attraction actually happened through your placement office of your colleges or universities, right? So everywhere this attraction will be there. It can be push or pull. When I say push or pull, it can be either you are applying or you are getting a call from the recruiter who are going to attract you for their particular job. It is nothing. So HR is not, the recruiter's job is simply they sell their job. If you think from a selling point of view, so many people here from logistic, I will be trying to use those terminologies, but I'm not a logistic expert, but still, let's see. So this is the first element of attraction. So let's say after what happened, Mr. Sharma applied for that particular company. The hypothetical company name is the Retail O, the company name is. So let him apply. So he applied through LinkedIn. So here, LinkedIn is the channel, I will say, channel of recruitment. Okay. So this is the first part, the attraction element. Okay. So after the first element of the employee life cycle, let's say Mr. Sharma has applied for that particular job in that Indian retail major. Okay. So what happened after that? Recruiting process, as usual, it is not a simple process as we have observed during our job application. There are a lot of things happens, right? So whenever you're applying for a job, again, you may get shortlisted. If you're getting shortlisted, your HR or recruiter, they will come to you. There will be a round of interview depending upon your level. There will be level 1, level 2, level 3. Some companies also go up to 4 or 5 levels of interviews as well, right? So you go through the interview process. Let's say Mr. Sharma has gone through all the processes, and after the process is over, there are some background verification, and he accepted an online offer, right? So now the second page of the employee. So till now, Mr. Sharma is not an employee. Just remember the term. At the attraction page, he was an applicant. Okay. So once I will just mention the terminology as well, so that it will be very easy for you. So at the first stage, he was an applicant. Okay. And he applied through all the recruiting channels, whatever required. In this case, LinkedIn, let's say. Okay. In the second phase, in the second cycle recruitment phase, he became a candidate. Okay. He remains the same person, but his role is now a candidate. Let's say once Mr. Sharma has applied and he got through the selection process, he accepted the offer. Now the onboarding process will start, right? That is the third stage of the entire employee before the employee life cycle starts. And let's say Mr. Sharma is saying, typically these days we do have a concept of hybrid onboarding. People join either remotely or they join depending upon the organization culture and all. So the policies and all. And he got all the nice goodies, he's quoted in LinkedIn, everything, right? And he thanked to those persons, as usual, we have seen in the LinkedIn these days, especially after COVID and all, right? So now the onboarding process, he is now part of the onboarding process and he joined the organization. He becomes now an employee. Okay. So in the day one itself, he got his ID card and all, and the employee journey starts, right? So this is the third stage of the employee life cycle. Okay. So this stage, depending upon the organization, takes almost around 30 to 90 days, depending upon how quick those processes are for those organizations. Sometimes also it with a real critical talent goes up to 1 year as well. So that is the process. Till now, if it is clear, say clear in the chart, or if any questions so far for understanding these three process. Okay. Thanks, Rasmi, for that confirmation. Asudas. Great. So now the next part, it is actually not a typical cycle or a page, I will say. There is something called retention. Retention means actually we spend time, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 3 years, sometimes maybe 4 or 5 years also in the same organization. And there's a motivation also for us, for as an employee, we continue because if it's a good company, good culture, good pay, why to leave that organization? And Mr. Sharma also thinks in that way. So he doesn't have to move to the other organization and all. So he continue in the same organization, right? So that I will call it as the page where employee continue to work. Okay. So employee continue to work here. Mr. Sharma continue to work as long as he has not some other motivation, external motivation to move on, right? So that is, we call it retention. And at the same time, in the same company, Mr. Sharma gets a lot of opportunities, right? Like learning in any organization. Now you can relate to, when I speak, you can also relate to your employee life cycle journey. Might be you are in the first company, second company, third company, or nth company, right? So you can always say, so you can think of your scenarios as well as I speak, so that after 15 minutes, whenever I'll be going to the system and show some simulations, you can relate to it, right? Now, coming to the development part, which is the most important part in any employee's journey, right? So what happens in this development stage? So every organization, they give offer not only the salary, but also a lot of development opportunities for any organization. If you think about it, can be opportunities in terms of L&D, learning and development. They offer you a lot of courses, lot of access to the other materials, videos from say LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, Udemy, a lot of, and also internal LMS. Every company must be having, right? So you go through those courses, sometimes some offsite, some certification programs, they sponsor for you, right? That is a part of the learning process. So learning and development is a part of your employee life cycle. Again, it's a continuous process, and you spend maximum time there, right? Now, another thing which is you're very familiar, that is a performance management, or we call it also performance enablement, or you can simple term your appraisal process. It varies from organization to organization, but these days most of the companies, they go for continuous performance management. Like every month or every quarter or every fortnight, they have a check-ins, right? In some organizations, they have gone beyond. Every week also they have a check-in process. You check in with your manager, reporting manager, or whoever you are working with, and you collect those feedbacks. And at the end, your appraisal, you will be getting your ratings. So accordingly, that will be impacting your career progression. It can be promotion, it can be your salary, compensation, everything, right? So that is also we consider that as a part of the development phase of the employee life cycle. Right? So I talked about learning here as well as your performance management. So I'll just call out that here so that it will be easy to remember. Employee, then employee learning actually. Then we do have your performance management. Right, where we have all the appraisals, process and all. Right? Other than that, we have something called career development plan. Right. So what is the difference between learning and career development plan? So career development plan is something which is a proactively the organization, or whenever you are talking to your managers and all, you decide for your long-term career plan. It's more of a long-term, or every 6 months or 1 year, if you have something new thing you want to learn along with your job, right? So if that opportunities is there in your organization, definitely there will be a career planning, and it will be also linked to your performance management, right? So based on your feedback, let's say somebody is very good in, let's say, technology, but when it comes to communication skills, might be he's lacking. Okay, so the manager can recommend, right, you have to go for a particular communication class or communication training program, right? And that will be part of your, it will be included in your career development plan, right? So that is also considered as a part of this particular life cycle activity. So that we call it a career development. Or in simple term, we call it CDP. Check it out. Career development plan, right? So this is all about the development page of the employee life cycle. Okay, so now we have going to the sixth element or sixth page of the employee life cycle. Let's say again we'll be back to Mr. Sharma, who has completed 5 years in the same organization. He was very happy, right? But On a certain day, he got a more challenging role from another organization of a different industry, and he would like to go for that particular company names. Let's say the hypothetical name of that company is EdTech O, is an EdTech company, and he wants to move to that organization. And he thinks not only the salary, but also it is something very much aligned so that he can contribute to the nation's actual society in terms of education, which is one of the key element of this country, right? So he wants to move on. And here the element of, we call it offboarding, or you can say the exit process, or full and final settlement, whatever you say in your, whenever you're leaving the organization. So that kind of process will start, right? So this is the sixth element of your employee life cycle. Generally, we call it people who, when they resign, right? So generally there will be the notice period, as we have seen that 2 to 3 months typically in India. And now we call that as an offboarding. It's a very new term, might be, you might not have heard about it, but it is something people, once they resign and they're in the notice period, and that is a term we generally use it. Okay. So now let's start. What is the next? Once your offboarding is over, you join the new organization, still there is something called, still nobody talked about it, but many of the HR processes, they also include it in these days. We call it happy leaver. Okay. Or otherwise in the business terminology, we call it enterprise alumni. So alumni, we might have heard about mostly in the school, colleges and universities, but these days, most of the companies also, they have their own portal. We call it enterprise alumni. So you will be part of their, let's say, alumni portal. There are some engagement activities also happen for alumni. Recently, I got a email from my previous company. They have invited me for their CSR activity, although I'm not for as an employee, but still they called me for their CSR activity to join that program. And 2 times in Delhi NCR, I joined one of my previous companies. They have also conducted some alumni catch-up sessions, the meetup sessions in Delhi. So those kind of activities to engage alumni, and it also helps the organization to build the trust. Even if you are leaving the organization, still you are a happy leaver, or you are promoting that culture of that organization to those, so that, and sometimes also people rejoin, right? So due to some reason, XYZ reason, they left the organization, but still they will be interested to join back the previous organization. So that is the power of enterprise alumni, or I will say happy leaver. Okay. So with this, I just tried to summarize we part of the 7 typical, you say, employee life cycle. There are 7 stages of the life cycle. Hope it is understood. I tried to summarize. If any question, I'll take a pause here in the chart. If any question. No question. If everything is clear, say clear in the chart. Okay. Thanks. Okay. So now we understood the HR business process. So now what I will do, I will just try to map the same thing from a product point of view. Now, before I go for the product point of view, I will be giving you platform capabilities. What are the SAP Success Factor? How it can help us in this way. So before we start, as you already know, so generally all of us are already SAP consultants in logistics, some other modules. So this is something I will not have to go for explaining what is an SAP full form, and many of you might be knowing 77% of world's transactions touch an SAP system, including all the multinational Fortune 500, 90% of the companies, all the FANG or MANG, whatever you say, the backend, many of the processes, it is touching the SAP system for sure. Now coming to our HR specific module, it was originated around 1986. When I say SAP HR SCM, so you have to heard the term HR is human resources and SCM is your human capital management, right? HR stands for human resources, and your same thing. but just you can say you feel good. Instead of saying a resource, we use, whenever you are using a term called capital, feels good. So over a period of time, so they have used the term, changed the term, and these days we are using another upgraded term. This is like a branding. You can say we use a term called HXM. Okay? Especially in success factor, we use a called HXM instead of saying HCM. That stands for human. X stands for experience, basically. Human experience management, right? So this is something we use frequently in SAP world, and also in industry, this is called as, you might have heard about EX. Okay, that is called employee experience. So this is something for the last 2-3 years, this term is actually getting momentum. There are many webinars, seminars, even HR conclave. They talk a lot about it, right? So now coming to SAP, after SAP HCM, so it did well in India. If you talk about Indian market, around 1998, they have started. Many of the leading organizations, basically the public sectors, oil and gas companies, and typically in all the public sector maximum, so they have started using SAP HCM or SAP HR, whatever you call it. Now, after coming to that, so we will go to the success factor. So how it evolved over a period of time. So SAP's has to already, means they didn't have their own cloud native product. If you think about your logistics, all those modules as well, logistics CRM, like your Ariba, your C4HANA, so whatever the CRM modules we are having, those are not originally coming from SAP. Rather, those are independent product or a company where SAP tried to acquire those company, and after that they grew themselves inside as per the SAP's framework, right? And same story goes with our SAP Success Factor as well, right? So what happened? SAP Success Factor started as a performance management company in 2001, okay? And after that, over a period of time, so in around 2012, SAP acquired this product, right? So that has been the journey, and over the last 11 years, it has evolved over a lot of new products has evolved and new things came up, okay, in Success Factor. So that is a typical journey from a product point of view, I will say, to give you an overview. Okay. So now, after understanding what is a typical success factor, how it caters to the whatever the employee life cycle, now I will connect to the dot. So again, we will go back to Mr. Sarma. So Mr. Sarma, we have seen from the front end as an employee. Now, same thing we will be thinking from an HR point of view, how it can connect, we can connect the dot through a organization process, right? So we have seen employee life cycle as a business process. Now, from a organization point of view, we call it recruit to retire. Okay, sometimes it is also people call it hire to retire, okay, H2R, but I will be using the term in this case, recruit to retire. And there is a reason for that. I will explain with a diagram. So let me open a diagram. I will easily able to explain the entire process. So this is an SAP diagram only. So you might have seen earlier, but I will just focus on that so that it will be easy for you to connect to the dot. Right? So now, whenever I'm saying recruit to retire or R2R, so there are 3 sub processes in the entire cycle, right? So first one is hire to retire. That is a typical employee life cycle, which we have talked about it, right? There's, I think, another process, travel to reimbursement. So generally, it is a part of your Concur process. SAP Concur, SAP Success Factor doesn't handle this one. Earlier, SAP HCM, we have a travel and expense management module that used to you use, but now it is taken care by SAP Concur, right? So hire to retire is taken care by Success Factor. If you see in the below, there are 5 products: SAP Success Factor, S4HANA Cloud, we do have SAP Concur, Fieldglass, SAP Analytics Cloud, right? So when it comes to recruit to retire cycle, out of that, SAP Success Factor takes care of the life cycle of an employee, end-to-end life cycle, which I already explained by giving an example from Mr. Sarma, right? So now travel to reimburse, as we know, in any companies, you book a Uber and you automatically the bill is generated and you have to produce that bill for the reimbursement, right? That is a typical example of a travel to reimbursement cycle. And it's a different product, okay, that we scattered by SAP Concur, right? Again, which is also not SAP's original product, SAP has acquired that product, right? Similarly, there is something called external workforce. So all kind of contractual employees, and we do have those gig workers, might have heard the term, gig workers, all the contractual employee, where you use raise and work order, all those typical processes. We go through a purchase order cycle for those employees, and also those processes are typically not part of your typical success factor product. So we have a different product due to complexity of those cycles of the entire cycle, right? That is taken care by, we have another product called SAP Fieldglass. Okay. So that is something when I say recruit to retire, we have three sub processes: hire to retire, travel to reimburse, external workforce. And out of that, we will be focusing today on the hire to retire cycle. Already with the process I have explained. So this is something success factor, SAP Success Factor takes care for the entire process. But having said that, from a technical perspective, all these modules can be integrated, right? So that there will be an end-to-end experience. There is no break in the experience, right? So all the modules can be integrated. There are APIs, all those standard applications you're available from a technical perspective. So these are all available in the entire life cycle. So now I will be coming to the detail about it from a life cycle, from a success factor solution mapping point of view. Let me open another diagram.
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
Right. So now we earlier talked about the employee life cycle. Now we will be focusing on the out of those three segments which we talked about, only focusing on the hire to retire solution here. Okay, maybe some other day we will be say SAP Fieldglass or something if it is okay, we will discuss. But today we'll be focusing on the hire to retire solution mapping. So as I say, there were 7 cycles, 7 stages actually for an employee life cycle. Now, from a product point of view, if you think of how SAP has mapped, they have mapped into total 6 stages here. Okay. The planning, second one is staffing, third one is working. So, staffing, then onboarding, then working, then we do have paying and closing. So these are 6 different stages of the entire hire to retire solution. So I will just say first one. Let's say planning. In any organization, so they do have a proper planning before you hire. How many hire you need for this particular quarter or particular month, right? They do also have a budget, right? So those kind of workforce planning, project planning, right? Actually, these 2 things doesn't happen, although it is part of the solution. It doesn't happen inside the success factor. It happens inside your another product called SAP Analytics Cloud, on project planning happens in your S/4HANA Cloud, right? But this can be again integrated with our larger model called SAP Success Factor in HR. So the planning is done. Next comes your staffing. Let's say the organization has decided, the same company, I will say the retail company, they have decided they will be hiring around, let's say 2,000 employees in the upcoming season, right? So they have to again identify whether it can be done by the internal talent or they have to hire new. When it comes to staffing, right? So in the company, there may be people on bench, right? Whether you can utilize those internal talent, right? Or for those particular requirement, or you have to hire new, right? If some skill set is not there in your organization, definitely you have to hire new, right? And for that, you have to, just like in material management, you do have a purchasing order. We have something called job requisition. And the alternative name, I can say, it is a hiring order, so that you can relate to it. Purchase order, hiring order. You are ordering for a candidate or an employee, right? So we do not use it now, just for your analogy, I just told that. But it is a job requisition. You create requisition in the recruiting module of Success Factor. So as a hiring manager, you create those requisition, you open those requisition. Let's say that requisition will be open for next 1 month. And during that 1 month, maybe you will be attracting candidates, okay, through different channels. When I say channel, mostly through LinkedIn or any job boards, like in India, we do have Naukri.com, Indeed, Glassdoor, lot of channels are there, right? Monster. So through that job boards, the recruiter will be posting those jobs, and whenever the candidates will start applying those jobs, those profiles will be coming to the SuccessFactor database of recruiting database, right? And then your filtering will happen. So based on some criteria, if you want to, SuccessFactor recruiting has an automatic capability to filter those candidates. Whether those candidates, there can be some preliminary pre-screening questions, okay? Just like whether you are having a hands-on experience on, let's say you are hiring for supply chain consultant, whether you are having a experience at least 3 years, or you are a certified consultant or not, yes or no question you can ask. Based on that, automatically SuccessFactor has a capability, a recruiting module. It will filter those candidates based on those screening questions, right? And after that, there will be a maybe level 1 interview, level 2 interview based on your organization, that job requisition requirement, right? So the candidate has to go through the entire recruiting process. Then after that, offer letter will be generated online in the recruiting module of SuccessFactor, and some offline event also happens, just like negotiation. Like if any salary negotiation, that happens generally offline. Okay. And after that, final offer is made to candidate, and they will join the organization, and there will be an onboarding process. The candidate will be completing the paperwork, receiving all the IT or non-IT equipments, okay? And they have to go through the entire process, okay? So this is the onboarding process. Again, we do have a module for that in SuccessFactor that is called SuccessFactor onboarding module, okay? So as I speak the cycle, entire cycle, I will also tell which are the product in SuccessFactor we will be utilizing. So whenever I'm saying recruiting or staffing process, here we have 2 modules. SuccessFactor. First one is SuccessFactor recruiting marketing, where all the job posting will happen, all the attraction element will happen. So that is called recruiting marketing, or in these days they have changed the term. We call it candidate experience. Okay. So that is the module we have to look after. So after the attraction is done, so the recruiting, there is another module called recruiting management. Right. So recruiting management will be take care of the entire selection process, like interview scheduling, your job requisition creation, your basically then your offer letter management, so the background verification, those things will happen in the recruiting management. Or these days people call it in SAP also changed the term, they call it recruiter experience. Okay, CX and RX. CX stands for candidate experience, RX stands for your recruiter experience. Those 2 products will be taking care of this recruiting process. Okay. Now coming to the onboarding. So SAP has a specific SuccessFactor onboarding product. Okay. So that takes care of the entire onboarding, paperless onboarding. So we don't have to produce any documents physically. Everything can happen online over including your signature. Okay. And for that also we have integration with people who are working in some, I think you might have heard about DocuSign, okay, where we do a signature that can be also integrated with the onboarding process. Document management, which is again not a specific to SuccessFactor, in any module, in the logistics modules also you might have heard about it. So any kind of a documents we have inbuilt, or if any extra required, so we can also have an integration with open text. You might have heard. there is another product of SAP, which is acquired by SAP again. So that can be also integrated with onboarding module, where all of your documents, onboarding related documents, policy documents, organization policy, so those details can be stored. Okay, so that is the SAP Success Factor onboarding process. Now coming to the working piece. So when I say working, it is like on a day-to-day activity. Once you join the organization, you have to submit your timesheet. It has to be approved. You have both options, whether it can be done through Success Factor, and if it is going to your S/4HANA for a project management point of view, if you require any kind of approval, or if you need it from a costing point of view, right? From finance, it can also go to the finance. And same things also can go for a payroll process. So that can be also integrated. Your time management module in Success Factor, we do have our own timesheet, time management. At the same time, it can also be integrated with third-party time providers, I will say the vendors, right? Like we have Kronos, we do have Replicon, you might have heard. Okay, so those are the products. At my current project, we are working on a Replicon. We are integrating with Success Factor. So those are the things which can be also integrated. So SAP Success Factor is open for both. So whatever the capabilities we do have, if it is not meeting your requirement, then you can go for some other products, partner products, or it can be some other products which can be integrated with SAP Success Factor. And those APIs are readily available, most of them, right? And you can find them in the SAP API store, right? So now, after the timesheet and time approval, leave, attendance, and all, as we move on, feedback and ongoing skill assessment. This is again a part of your typical performance management. It also happens, and we do have a module for that. We call it PMGM, performance management and goal management. It's a single module, and in that it caters to all kind of feedback. It can be also catering to your not only your single feedback like employee to manager, and also the opposite one. Like in many of the organizations, you have an opportunity to rate your manager or senior leadership as well. We call it sometimes 360-degree feedback, you might have heard. Okay, so those capabilities also we do have in Success Factor under the PMGM module. Okay, performance management, goal management, right? And when it comes to the learning, we do have a dedicated module, Success Factor Learning. And that product, again, it is not part of directly Success Factor. Once upon a time, Success Factor acquired a product called Plateau, and that product is now known as Success Factor Learning. And later on, when SAP acquired Success Factor, it naturally became a part of our Success Factor Learning portfolio, right? And in that module, you can do all kind of integration with third-party learning providers like Udemy, Coursera, your LinkedIn Learning, or any kind of third-party content. Okay, it is an option to upload your content, right? Just like any typical LMS towards all kind of assessment you can have. You can have a community like community forum where people can interact, right? Just like if you have seen your Learning Hub, right? Many of you might be having a Learning Hub access. That is a typical example of Success Factor Learning. So when you search for a course, you register for a course, it can be online, it can be any live sessions as well. So that typical cycle happens inside the Success Factor Learning module, right? So now coming to the last here in this working phase of it, monitor deliverables, cost and margin, close quarter end. This is something, not a capability of Success Factor, but it is part of your S/4HANA cloud. It can be S/4HANA inside that. People who are from finance, you can say which is the right module. Finance, your project management, project system, all those modules. Again, this can be integrated with Success Factor so that you can monitor your employee cost, what was the total payment cost to your employees, okay, all those deliverables from a project management point of view, right? You can always keep a watch on that, right? That is again taken care by S/4HANA Cloud, not Success Factor directly, but it can be integrated. Those data can be integrated through your MDI these days, master data integration. Now coming to the next process, which is again ongoing process, your payroll. So you pay your internal employee. Why I'm using the term internal employees? Because we're talking about hire to retire solution, not recruit to retire here. So when I say internal employees, you have to pay them using Employee Central Payroll. Employee Central is our core module. Okay. And there is another module called Employee Central Payroll, where all the salary process will happen. And all kind of reimbursement, those processes also happen inside that module. So this is something from a paying point of view. Now coming to the closing part here, again, the financial statement, corrections and all, these things doesn't happen in SuccessFactor. It happens in the S/4HANA Cloud, and you submit your time and close project is a project system module, and offboard employees. So let's say employee decided to move on to other organization or some other career aspiration. So the finally the offboarding or the exit process, that is again taken care inside the SuccessFactor offboarding. That is again a part of the onboarding product, but we have a feature, we have a offboarding feature, we call it, and that we use SAP SuccessFactor for that. Okay. And having said that, this is the entire cycle of a hire to retire solution in SuccessFactor. Now, when it comes to paying the external employee, you might be having a question how external employees are paid, like your gig workers or contractual worker. For that, we have to use the other solution called SAP Fieldglass, right? So SAP Fieldglass takes care of those purchase order, those entire cycle. That payment will happen from there, not from SuccessFactor. But having said that, we do have a solution inside SuccessFactor as well, but we call it contingent workforce. Okay? So that can also get it by SAP SuccessFactor, but it is not end-to-end solution. If you are looking for end-to-end solution, preferably if the organization has a budget, we use SAP Fieldglass product for external employees. So that is the entire hire to retire solution mapping. So if you have any question, I will take a pause here from a product point of view. If you have any question. No question. Okay. I'll take as a no.
That was a very good slide. I have a quick question. So in the slide, you have mentioned some things are part of the success factor. Something would be the SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So where we are saying SAP S/4HANA Cloud, it can also be done on S/4HANA on-premise also, right?
Yes, yes. Both. But I say because currently the slide which I have taken, it is from S/4HANA, integrated S/4HANA, that environment, right? So yeah, this can be also done in your S/4HANA on-premise. Yeah. Thanks for asking that question.
So when we say S/4HANA on-premise, it would be the HR module in S/4HANA on-premise that would be used?
So when I say S/4HANA, yes. Inside the S/4HANA, we do have the mini master, we call it an HR mini master, right? That we can utilize. Not the entire feature we are not going, because what happens in the organization, many of the organization, they have also gone for hybrid model. So they will be, so they think that the payroll they will be keeping in the on-premise, S/4HANA on-premise, but the other talent modules, okay, they want to move it in the SuccessFactor. That is also a scenario where in those cases, generally we in S/4HANA we use payroll data and all those people based on the organization. So they decide, and we can utilize those S/4HANA on-premise module as well.
Okay, so when
mini master, we call it.
When we do payroll on S/4HANA, the module used for the payroll in S/4HANA, is it called still SuccessFactor, or is it called HRM module in S/4HANA?
Okay, so this is actually when I say use the payroll module, so that will be, you have two options. Okay, if you're going for employee central payroll, so at present, employees, even if we call it a cloud payroll, but unfortunately at present it's not 100% cloud payroll. Still, we have to go to your S/4HANA. Actually, the EC payroll is the payroll engine, still lies in the backend actually. So SAP is planning to do that in the upcoming days to move on to a complete cloud solution. But the payroll still it is in the on-premise. Okay, the engine is still in on-premise. The front end may be in the SuccessFactor, but the backend of Employee Central or SuccessFactor payroll still in the backend actually. So we call it EC payroll. And in S/4HANA also, you can utilize that payroll engine functionalities if you're not using EC payroll, right? Still, those country-specific payroll are still there in S/4HANA. whatever it was there in the SAP HCM on-premise, and you can utilize that functionality. It is a strong one of the key module of or key strength, I will say, of SAP HR or the on-premise module.
Okay, got it. And this mini master, when we jump into S4HANA, before S4HANA, for logistics module, the importance of HR mini master was not that high. But with S4HANA, the in logistics side also, many functionalities they have introduced in sourcing and procurement, in sales and distribution, flexible Fiori workflows, approval. All the SAP users, we need to also create a mini master for them.
Business partner, you might have used that.
Partner. Yes, we need to create a business partner for them.
Yeah.
So for that part, if we have a success factor also, so that is, there would be any integration that the employee would be created in the success factor, and with the integration, mini master would be automatically created in S4HANA?
Yes, we do have a integrations at present. MDI, using those MDIs, whatever you'll be creating, right? There are programs which can automatically create those IDs, and there will be a mapping. Whatever the IDs you are having in success factor, okay, those IDs can be same, can be different as well. So those IDs, so whatever you are creating as a business partner or the mini master in your respective module in S4HANA, those mapping will be there. Okay, so we have a value mapping, all those things. Okay, so will be there even if you are creating an employee in success factor, because your single source of truth for any employee master will be success factor, employee central. The key module, core module of success factor will be employee central, and that will be the central record. And if any mapping is happening, right, in your S4HANA and all, or to business partner or whatever you say, and this will be mapped to the employee central part of it. Okay, those IDs will be mapping will be done, and there are integrations. There are standard integrations. We don't have to do develop anything new. In these days, SAP Best Practices. So if you see, they offer all those things standard. Okay, you have to just run those programs, and it automatically creates in your S4HANA.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question. Thank you, Nildari.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah. Any other questions we have?
Hi, Pratik this side. I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So basically, when you say SAP Best Practices, so I want to understand that what exactly it means.
Okay. So SAP Best Practices, actually, how it has been developed. When I started my work, there was initial in 2010-12. At that point of time, there was not such streamlined content and those. But over a period of time, based on the feedback from different customers, different consulting companies, all these big fours and all, they came off all this best practice. When I say best practices, what can be the best fits? Because SAP is a design in their own framework, right? So based on the feedback, actually, SAP has suggested what should be the sequence of your implementations. Okay, so let's say you are implementing one of the success factor module called Employee Central. Okay, might be your consultant, whoever has been trained, he has gone through the implementation guide and done all those steps, but still there are some gaps. There could be a valid reason because he is not aware of, or he might not be having the experience of how to implement the sequence. Actually, he is not aware of. So what SAP has done in over a period of time, that apart from your typical implementation guides and all, they came up with some artifacts or those documentation, how to implement, what is the sequence of implementation. Nowadays is including test scripts also provided by SAP. Okay, when it comes to, you have seen, especially in, I have seen other modules, I've not seen other modules, but especially in Success Factor, for every modules, we have test scripts. What are the key steps you have to follow? Those things are provided by SAP, and you don't have to copy them, but again, you have to take inspiration from that, and whatever your organization is following, you have to just tweak that as per your requirement, right? So SAP has a pre-configured also solution. These days, a lot of products inside Success Factor, so they came up with a direct, suppose you're working for an industry, retail industry, or a manufacturing industry. SAP is already aware of what are the typical processes, what are the typical challenges of that industry. So what they have done, they have actually tailored the solution as per the industries and all. They came up with all those documents readily available from the day one. So you don't have to, as a consultant or as a company who are implementing, you don't have to come up, take the requirement from the beginning. Rather, you have a ready-made solution available in your product. You just take through that, and after that, from the client, you take the feedback, how their process is different, what SAP offers. So you only discuss that fit gap analysis. We call it fit gap analysis. Whenever you're conducting the workshop, you don't take the requirement from the scratch, rather you demo. We call it discovery workshop in Success Factor. We demonstrate to the client for a retail industry, these are the best practices and these are the entire employee life cycle. And from that, you take an inspiration. The client has to tell how their process is unique. Is there any unique processes as for their for those organizations? And we capture those requirements only during the workshop, not the entire end-to-end. Just typically we have to do in the business blueprint and all in SAP HCM or in the on-premise world. We don't take that kind of a requirement from the scratch actually. And SAP provides all the documentations, all the accelerator or tools, I will say. Okay, so those tools actually very helpful. Okay, during your entire process, you don't have to prepare something from the scratch. So that is the power of SAP best practices, or otherwise these days they call it a leading practices. Okay, in the industry best practices as well. So that it will save your time. You don't have to spend those time in your doing those things. Rather, you spend more time in the training and adoption of the product. Rather, you're taking the requirement from the scratch and all those things. So that saves your time actually. So which is known as a SAP best practice. There are a lot of things. If I can talk also about more than 1 hour for the SAP best practices only, but that is what to be brief. Hope it clear your query, Pratik.
Yes, thanks. So I got your point, and the best thing which you said, I guess this will be the gist of it, that SAP giving you the blueprint, or I can say this is the way that SAP is guiding you to go from this way to this way, and ask customer, are you not aligned with it? If you are not aligned with it, then tweak it and make sure that you will come on the same board. So that is good.
Yes,
Thanks.
yes. I'll be giving another analogy. Generally, I give that. So if you think about a Lego game, right? When you have a block, all the blocks are available with you, and your kid will be playing whether he wants to create a bus or he wants to create a train. As for his wish, right? He can create it. But we do not create the Lego from scratch. Lego is already given to us. Those blocks are available. Only thing is, we as a consultant, you have to ask to your clients, understand your client's aspiration, what he wants to create, whether he wants to create a train out of that, or a bus, or a truck out of that, or a house out of that. So it is something like that. So that is the typical analogy I generally give to my students.
Just to
Any
add
other?
on, Niladri, Pratik, if you have enrolled for any of our excellence program, this coming Saturday, the session which I am covering on excellence would be having an activate overview, and there also I would be explaining about the best practices, what are the best practices and how to utilize it. Although Niladri has quickly in 5 minutes has explained it everything, but there will be having a discussion of around 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah. SAP Activate itself, it's a certification. So that is something,
That become a
okay.
20-30 hour program now.
Yeah. So what I will do now, if you don't have any other questions, so I will quickly show you some of the simulations. So how do you go to a success factor screen, and I'll just have a glance. So for SAP HCM, success factor product, we don't have to install anything. Just like any cloud product, you have a URL. And through that URL, if you're having credentials, and once you log in, this is your home page will be looking like. And it can be customized, it can be the picture and all. And if you can see, there are cards available, just like you can think about your query pages also, if you have seen, right? So similar to that, all the quick action item will be in your home page, right? Just like if you are going to update your profile, we have a card for that, for my profile. And if you want to, let's say, check your absences, we have another card for view time or team absences. If you want to record your time sheet. Okay, you can record time directly from here. Similarly, the time of, if you want to apply for a leave, you have a request time off for here. If you want to request a feedback, let's say every 14 days or every 7 days, you take feedback from your customers or you take feedback from your managers and all, right? You can take those feedback directly from here. You want to recognize your peer, your subordinates. We have that module as well. Okay, so these are some of the key elements from different modules, which are the frequently just like a favorite thing in your SAP on-premise. Whatever you think which are frequently used, you can make them favorite. And similar thing you will be finding here in the home page itself. Okay, and is there any action items to be taken? So that you'll be finding in the for you today. Okay, what are the top things you have to do? Maybe you are based on your requirement, you have to review somebody's performance, right? So you can go directly to the form and it can be directly you can review the performance form and all. This is how typical screen looks like. When search for employees, you can search for your any actions or any transactions directly from this. And you can see, if you can see, SAP used the term HXM, okay, which I talked about. These days, human experience management. Rather, we call it as previously we used to call it HCM. Nowadays, this is a term frequently SAP all its banner and all promotion they use the term. So it should not be confused between HCM and HXM. Actually, it's just a branding. So this is how typically the homepage looks like, right? Then if you want to search any, so coming to module, this is how you can navigate to different modules Success Factor. There will be drop down here. So again, this is completely based on the role-based permission, we call it, or in traditional terminology of SAP, we authorization in SAP basis. So based on your roles, let's say I'm a recruiter. Okay, so then definitely I'll be having the recruiting module will be appearing here in this drop down. Okay, suppose I'm only a employee, okay, so I don't have any other things to do, then I'll be having access to my employee file. And other than that, if I'm a, let's say, compensation expert, let's say payroll, okay, so I'll be having access to the compensation, okay. Or if I'm a manager who is responsible for employees feedback or employees appraisal, definitely I'll be having those modules like goals and performance management. Continuous performance is a module again. So like as I say, many of the organizations these days, they prefer continuous performance feedback every 14 days, every 7 days, every month, right? So that you can capture in this. This is a part of your performance management, goal management module. The first 5, whatever you are seeing, goals, performance, continuous feedback, calibration. Okay, calibration means many of the organization at the end, they do calibrate, okay, those employees who are the top 10%, top 5%, okay, accordingly they will be, the compensation will vary, right? So that is again a part of your PMGM or performance management, goal management module. Then we do have a career development, as I say, right? So when I say career, suppose if there is any internal opportunities in your organization, you can, as an internal employee, you can also apply for that particular job, right? And for external employees, definitely there will be a different module called recruiting, marketing, recruiting management. Those modules are there. But from internal employees, they can also apply the jobs inside the company in the career space, right? By going to this careers. Okay, this is how we call it sometimes internal job posting, IJP, in many of the organization, right? So these are different products or modules you can say, and also your reporting modules also integrated here. Reporting analytics, we call it workforce analytics, workforce planning, right? And those are again based on your SAP Analytics Cloud these days. And it can be also, these are all integrated in the same package. There are also some other things I'll just quickly show you. Now, if you want to go for a module like, let's say, position management inside Employee Central, if you want to see the org structure like this, right? So it's not a very good picture, but this is just simulation. I will show you something here.
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
Quickly. Okay, so from a performance management, suppose as an employee, you want to add a goal. So this is how the transition will be seen in the SuccessFactor homepage. We do not have any T code like in SAP on-premise. So these are all transaction. As soon as you start typing, it is very much intuitive. Suppose if you start typing goal, whatever the transaction which is having a term called goal inside the transaction name, you'll be getting all those details. Simply you have to go to that particular transaction and you have to perform that activities, whatever is required for you. Okay. So this is something for any module, the transitions are very similar to that. Right. So I'm not going to that details module because itself is a module, performance management, goal management itself. So for any kind of notification, just like app notification we get, and we do also have an Android and iOS app, same similar modules are there. And you'll be getting in your to-do list notifications and all like this, right? Then, so in the interest of time, I will just quickly have a glance on this. And this is whatever you are seeing, I forgot to say, this is called instance. In SuccessFactor, we use a term called, two terms we use it, instance and provisioning. Okay. So instance, whatever you are seeing, this is the front end. Okay. And when I say provisioning, that is the back end of the SuccessFactor. And generally that access is given only to the certified consultants. Okay. So that is once you, today I'm not able to show that because that's actually client specific things are there. So, but the backend is always given to certified consultants and it will be verified and they will be getting access whenever they are deployed into a client project. The S user ID will be mapped to that provisioning, that is the backend where the activities of activation, okay, all of modules will be activated in the backend. But when it comes to the work, actually, when I started my SuccessFactor journey in 2016, around that point of time, a lot of activities, around 20%, 30% activities were done in the backend. But slowly, SAP has moved those configurations, a lot of functionalities to the front end. These days, almost 90 to 95% job can be done in the front end itself. And the back end will be required in the beginning or any kind of a job scheduling if you are doing, right? And during the, or any kind of monitoring if you want to do, a lot of things, those things can be only done in the provisioning. And those API integration or any kind of activation, any new module if you want to launch, okay? So those things you have to manage in the provisioning, but 90 to 95% job these days can be done in the front end itself. Having said that, if the client, let's say you are working from a client point of view, let's say you are the client, you are not from a partner company, even if you are certified, SAP will not be giving you the provisioning access. That is the kind of a discipline which SAP tries to keep it with themselves. And only the partner companies who are the implementation partner, SAP certified consultants, they will be having the access to the provisioning. And if anything support is needed, you can raise a ticket to SAP. And again, if you do not have an access to the partner companies after the implementation is over, right? And the front end is again, nowadays, they've improved a lot. When I started working in 2016, a lot of improvement happened over a period of time, the UI and all, everything. But still, they based on the customer feedback and all, they keep on improving, just like any other product in SAP, nothing unique to SuccessFactor, I will say. So this is something, the front end part of it. And again, the KBs are also integrated. If you want to see, or let's say, if you are stuck in somewhere in the SuccessFactor or any issues you are getting, directly you can see there is something called choose my incidents or any, it is again AI enabled. So based on your issue, whatever the error you are getting, so it will recommend what will the top KVA, what are the top, you don't have to do search, and you can search always in the SAP product support, but still you can have directly from the portal itself, in the homepage itself, if you're already having a valid user ID, definitely you'll be able to access those things. And also there are some guided answers and all, KVA, everything will be from the platform itself, you will be having access. Okay. So this is something the front end or the homepage, I will say. So this is the ticketing process as usual, you know, right? So I don't have to go there. Now coming to, I think this is something, the Launchpad is also integrated with the homepage. You can see SAP Launchpad. Okay. there are guided answers. Suppose if you stuck somewhere, so we are not finding the answers for your client's queries or some troubleshooting, directly from the homepage itself, it is integrated. You can do that, right? So this is something I just thought of sharing with you. With that, let me show you some other process as well. Let me go back. Okay, so now I will be showing some other processes related to the, let's say, employee central, which is our core module of success factor. Okay, let's say you want a very simple thing. I will just show you, that is how to hire an employee. Very standard process. Okay, so every organization, if you are hiring an employee, then basically what are the steps you have to follow and how you will be entering those details. Okay, again, it's a master data, so you have to perform those activities. I will quickly show you how it can be done. So for that, you should be a HR administrator, hire an employee. So simply you have to go. Yeah. So there is a tool section here, you can see. And there is a transaction. You can also search it in the top, add new employee, that is a transaction. And this is how all the inside the tool, the transaction will be looking like. These are all terminology. As you start module wise again, onboarding, offboarding, we have a set of transactions. For employee central or employee data, we have a set of transactions, just like add new employee. Suppose if you want to add a contingent worker means those contractual, okay, so those employee you can also add. Or if you want to add an employee for a fixed term, okay, so all those things you can do. Also, if you want to upload in the bulk, let's say you are having 200 employees, you don't want to hire them one by one. We have an upload programs or upload transaction here, like import employee data, or okay, so those details also available. You can choose as per your need, but this is how the transactions in Success Factor looks like. More intuitive compared to our on-premise. And if you, these are the typical transaction whenever you are adding a new employee manually. So this is the steps, or these are the different fields you will be getting, and it can be also customized. So whatever you have field you are seeing, right? The first name, last name. It may be possible that some of the fields you do not want, and some of the fields, there's some mandatory fields, but if you want, we have a concept called your MDF. Okay, so metadata framework, which is again a customization if you want to do. Generally, we do not recommend to do a lot of customization because of obvious reason in the cloud, typical cloud principles. But if still the client needs it, we have an option for that. We have a customization option. It doesn't involve any coding, just like business configuration. So just we have elements available. We call it MDF, okay, metadata framework. And using that, you can also customize this, whatever the fields you are seeing. It can be also standardized based on the country. SAP has given already based on your country, whatever the company you will be choosing based on the country. Accordingly, those, suppose if you are choosing USA, definitely in the employee profile, you will be having your social security number and all those respective fields from a legal and compliance point of view for that country. It will be readily available in that employee profile. So this is something you will be finding. And event reason, this is a term we use for any kind of action, we call it, like a new hire or any kind of a transfer. Okay, so this can be also customized. We call it a pick list in Success Factor terminology. Whatever you are seeing the drop down, we call it a pick list. That pick list also can be customized in the Success Factor itself. So that is something I just thought of using from few terminologies. And these are all the data entry. It can be done by the HR admin in manually, or it can be done through a program, that input program, which I talked about, right? So you enter your details, you submit your documentations, whatever is required, national ID, all those. And there will be also validation if you're entering a wrong ID based on the format. There will be validation, we call it a business rule. It can be, there is again no coding. So using business rules, even a functional consultant or a business user, if they are trained, they can write those rules or validations, and it can be in the backend, it can be implements, that the validation can be done. And these are the things we do have different. We also call it them a portlet. So these are the, let's say, global information, personal information. This segment, okay, we generally call it as a portlet success factor. And SAP HCM, we used to call it the info tag. Okay, so this is just a comparison because I got in both the world, the previous on-premise and current cloud. So this is something which you can enter. So this is just a quick overview of that. So these are all field details and it can be customized. Once it is done, if there is a green tick, it will say whatever information you have added. Now a new employee has been hired. Okay. So this is something we are all the simulations generally we conduct in success factors and all, right? And I think this is, I thought it will be giving a great overview for all of you. Maybe I think so. Then, is there any questions before we go to the last segment? Yeah. No, I'll take it as a no. Okay, so now coming to the resources. So where you can find the resources, there are two parts I will tell. There are from SAP side of it. As usual, the open SAP courses are again, you can find out they're again free of cost. You will be finding them very easy to navigate through. They will be giving an overview of that. It is available from open SAP. And another courses are already there. Come something called SAP has recently launched that called learning.sap.com. If you go there is a 40 hours free again. This is the initially SAP didn't offer during my time. Every courses were paid, and including this one. Okay, so this is again offered directly. You can access through SAP, but it's a typical training. Okay? There will be no hands-on and all. Typical 90 minutes are offered by SAP. Okay? They will be offering for the entire success factor all these things, right? So you can have a look into it. So apart from this resources and SAP success factors and all, then also what I offer coming to the my part. So here I do offer in my platform, there is a something called Success Labs Academy. So in that, if you go, we have also courses, people who are interested, especially for HR professionals or any of your friends who are working in HR domain, or people are doing MBA HR or any related, or they have a passion for HR products, HR technologies, right? So they can go for the course, right? And this is something I offer. It's a mentoring or training. How it is different from the what SAP offers is actually there will be in SAP's program, there will be no as such hands-on directly, but my programs mostly this will be a hands-on oriented or a mentoring. I have a mentoring platform, and in that platform, if you go, it is like this. So school.successlabsacademy.com, and you'll be finding all the courses, whatever at present I'm offering. So you'll be getting those. I have included both success factor and planning to include Workday in the future, actually. Okay. So this is something which you are interested if you get through. And for people who have joined, thanks for being towards the end till we have the 17, including me. And what I can do for this community for SastraGeek, and as I promised, then we have an offer for you. So that link which I'll be giving. So this link, you will be getting my silver membership, that entire course or entire platform, actually, the basic one, you will be getting absolutely free. That generally costs around 12,000 around that. But that is something which I'll be offering, and it will be valid for the next 24 hours. Just I put it in the chat. And if any of you are interested, just simply you can enroll for that. And I think with that note, I'll take a pause here, and I will over to Parminder. If any questions or any feedback or anything, I would like to hear from you.
Thank you, Niladri, for an amazing session, and thank you also introducing your school. And again, I will repeat, guys, the offer which has been made. We have specially request Niladri. It is nowhere available for specifically for SastraGeek community. He has opened his silver membership for free, which is worth 12,000 rupees. It would be only open for 24 hours. So anyone who wants to jump into to have some success factor trainings, the free trainings for silver level course, you want to go ahead with free. It's only available for 24 hours. Please go and access it. We'll also share that link which Niladri has shared with you through email who are the people who has joined the session, but it's already there in the chat. So copy it and get it enrolled yourself. It's always good to know the different modules, and at least you should be knowing that what's happening, because even for the logistics consultant in 2016-17 was a very tough period for me when SAP introduced S/4HANA, and then HCM Mini-Master integration started coming with the S/4HANA, and we were not able to do many things in Fiori without that integration. So knowing another module is always beneficial, helpful, and the services which Niladri is providing is beautiful and awesome. I have also gone through some part of it, the explanation and all the structure which you will see, and you will find the more or less same feel the way you get trained in SastraGeek, because we both follow the same guru to develop our business. So a lot of similarity you will find it. Okay, so with that, anyone has any question, the forum is open. If you have any question, if you also have a question related to career, that if you want to start a career in HR or success factor, that kind of question also, if you have, feel free to ask. Okay, if you don't have any questions, so we would be ending it quickly this session. I have a few questions coming on the chat.
Yes. Can non-HR person can start? Answer is yes, because I'm coming from a completely BTech, electronics, communication, those high-fi stuff, but I have not used those 4 years of degree, not in anything in my career once I joined my first company. So I started as a developer, SAP developer. I was not an HR person, but over a period of time, I had a passion. One of my mentors, thanks to that mentor, in my first company, and he told that HR will be always in demand, because people will be always paying in any organization. Definitely payroll will be the key modules in SAP or Success Factor. That model will be still there. Okay, so to answer, sir, everybody can start, even if they are not from a HR background. My courses are primarily designed for people who are not from actually technical background, or they are coming from a core HR or non-core HR background. It is designed for them, and they can upskill themselves either a Success Factor or a Workday, whatever HR technology, because my program is purely designed based on the process. Okay, because product will come and go. Today, I never thought that there will be Success Factor in 2016, and I had to learn that again from scratch, right? So anybody can start, whether you are having an MBA in HR or not. So this is any non-HR person also can start, right? Yeah, I think Abhishek has a question. My wife into core HR, but she doesn't have any technical background. It doesn't matter, Abhishek. So the courses, actually, these are all process driven. Okay, so you have to if you understood the process, even I have seen in my tenure in my different companies, people who are coming from a core HR background, they do very well, and their progress is very high compared to the technical people who are having core HR, because they have a solid business knowledge, right? And they can influence the stakeholders in the business discussions, in the requirement gathering. So in this way, they can also, if they have to upskill themselves for a 6 months to 1 year for a particular module in Success Factor or Workday, and definitely they will be excelling compared to the other non-technical persons very much better, right? That is something I can say.
I would
like
to add what Niladri has said. So Abhishek, my wife is also into the HR side, and she's a Workday expert. And so she was in PeopleSoft. So for her, from PeopleSoft, she was able to quickly upgrade, and she was able to do the Workday, because what Niladri is saying, irrespective of whatever the technical object you are doing it, if you are good into the business processes, if you have a strong hand onto the business processes, you would be able to quickly adapt to the new IT tools. And I can tell you, without telling the company name, in her company also, she was also in the recruitment of Workday, and she was recruiting even the Success Factor people also for Workday, because they know that if that guy has done a Success Factor, the business processes are same. Within 1 to 2 months, they would be train him or her onto the Workday, and she would be working on Workday also. So you can go ahead with the Success Factor. Success Factor is a little easy to learn because resources are available. For Workday, that number of resources, the system is not available, so it's a little difficult. But after learning Success Factor, you would also be easily jump to the Workday also. Okay, so that option will get opened for you.
And I do have few videos of Warner. Recently, I got a system access. So I just, if you see my YouTube, you'll be finding that a few of the Workday videos recently I have launched. So it is still in the planning. So you can find out if you think it is helpful for you, you can go to those free videos in my platform, in my YouTube channel also, you can get it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. You can also
Yeah.
share your YouTube channel link so that people can see.
Yeah, sure, I will do that.
So you have a Workday system access, Niladri?
No, unfortunately, no, Parvinder. For Success Factor, I do have, but for Workday, generally, students who come, they bring their own system, and I do the mentoring coaching part actually.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
Okay, so you have a YouTube link. You also have a link for a course, L1 course, which is only available for 24 hours. If you will come after 24 hours, Parminder, wo link idhar hai. I need it. Niladri has given. Now it is asking for payment. It is hard locked for 24 hours. If you want to get it benefited, get it subscribed, jump into the platform within 24 hours for free. After that, if you jump, you need to pay for it. Okay, anyone has any other question? Any questions related to career? I also want you to be part of SastraGeek community. There are a lot of people who reach out to you for the HR background and they want to get themselves into the IT. You can redirect to us and we'll redirect to Niladri, or you can directly redirect to Niladri. Now you know that there's some good content is available on a dirt cheap prices. Okay, if you go with the SAP authorized training, you spend 4-5 lakh rupees, and then again the job is not guaranteed, and then the personal touch, the mentorship, you don't get it from there, right? So also help us to spread the word so that more people can be guided for the right content.
I think Rakshita has a question. So you simply follow that link which I have given. So if you see my screen, there will be a silver membership, 12,000 is striked out. And if you there will show a zero INR. So if you simply click that buy now, right? Definitely, I think you will not be facing any problem. It may ask for your sign up, simply just like Gmail and all. So you have to sign off for that using giving your name and email ID. Then after that,
Okay, Lakshita, let me quickly check. Just give me a minute. Let me quickly check from my side.
in the morning only I have created it. Actually, I'm not sure if any technical glitch. Otherwise, let me know.
Okay, so
If
let
any
me share
challenges.
my screen, and if there is a
Yeah.
technical glitch, you can try to.
Yeah, sure.
So this is we are in with the course, and here I have a buy now.
Click that buy now. Yeah.
Okay, it
Yeah.
is giving me discount. Coupon is already put it. My email address, I will put this one. And buy.
I think Kiran has successfully signed up. Yeah, simple.
Done. See, Rakshita, it's happening. Kiran also has done. So Rakshita maybe might not be using the right link, or try to change the browser. Try to go to the
Chrome is better.
Chrome is better, or try to go into the incognito mode. Okay, I think it should work. If it worked for me, worked for Kiran, worked for Ashutosh, it would also work for you. Sure, you can try again. Okay, Rakshita, you can reach out to my team if you face any problem. Okay, we'll be able to help you out. Okay, anyone has any another question? So we will try to do this kind of community session, more community session, and next time I will also think that we'll try to do sometime over the weekend so that more people can join. And if you have any question after the session, you can drop us over this. I'm putting email ID SastraGeek support@sastrageek.com. This is the email ID. You can drop any questions you have, or if you want to do a WhatsApp chat, for that also I'm dropping you a link. So with this link, you can directly do the WhatsApp chat with the support team. With that note, thank you, Nilatri, for coming us to our community, coming up to our platform to share the very valuable knowledge. I hope everybody enjoyed the session and got a lot of benefit from that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Parminder, and entire SastraGeek team. I appreciate for your time. Happy to connect with you if any follow-up sessions needed in the future. More than happy. And in the community also, you can ask questions. I will be attending the Success Labs Academy also. You can reach out, and that is as a community. You can reach out any questions or go into those videos also. And I will be committing that those questions are answered. Thank you, and lots of gratitude.
Sure, our pleasure. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. I would let you know that what topic we will be covering for the next week. You will be getting it over the emails. And the topics which is pending is the planning, which is pending, Ariba is pending, and FSCM is pending. I will try to bring someone from the FSCM side and do that session on coming Thursday. That would be my target. Thank you, everyone, for joining today and logging out for today. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.